we're ready to go. And no, we can't stop now, it's deep inside of our bones. Consuming me like a magnetic pole. It's supernatural, so supernatural, yeah, yeah.
We came to blow it up, bring some speakers and some subs. If you down and ask me, you know we can get enough.
There's that ridiculously scary, holy crap, I need to shave face. I'll have to shave because it's Jeff Albert's wedding this weekend. So it must be April 22nd here, I think, Wednesday, 2015. And two current feels I want to discuss real quick are, number one, so Bryce Lewis and I launched a beanie together, and it's really cool. It's a gray beanie, got a little tag on it for his team. He's got some text on that, logo on the outside, my tag on the inside. It has a very innovative, first of the market as far as I know, like an Under Armour type liner. And there's two things. One, obviously beanies. I think everyone's found, whenever I tell anyone this about this product I'm developing, they're like, oh yeah, like they itch on your forehead. You get that massive itch. So it has an Under Armour type layer on the inside to prevent that itch, and then also for moisture wicking purposes, because it's probably wearing it when you train. And so you look on the market, and I mean, there's beanies all the way up to like $40, say, if you're Gasp, for just a very nice, but regular basic beanie. So this is basically two beanies in one. So, honestly, when you think about everyone's margins and what would be typical, probably should be charging even more for it, but we put it out at $24.99. And so you would think with all the following Bryce has, with the loyalty of that following, whatever, so he puts it out there, and sold two so far. So I had, what did I have? 48 made. So of course I did send 6 to all the TSA coaches and the interns. Obviously once they get theirs, hey, yeah, this is awesome, whatever. Like, I'm sure it'll pick up from there. I'm not that concerned. Also, it's very late in April now. It's kind of honestly probably a little too late in the season. So, but again, it's just interesting how you. I don't mean to say that I was expecting like all 50 are going to sell out instantly, but you would think there'd be a little more traction. Also, I find beginning of the week type launches, in retrospect, maybe not always the best idea. It's so common for me to do more business on Thursday, Friday, Saturday as people get their paychecks. So just got to keep that in mind. But in any event, so that's the one thing is I think sometimes people think like it's just automatic gangbusters. I think if anything, a lot of times with me, because they're new products that really haven't been done before, it actually almost, in some ways, is worse because, and I found this sometimes with other stuff, it takes a little while for people to realize, like, oh, wow, this really is cool and different and better, worth me spending a little more on, and or just worth me kind of, dropping what I'm doing and going to buy one. So that's just one thing. And again, with this setup, I think a typical setup, it would be, a reseller type thing where Bryce would be selling them and they would be taking a decent percentage of them. In this case, we have a different arrangement, so we're fulfilling them, but that also means I'm taking all the risks. So I'm basically sitting on 40 beanies that you're like, they should sell pretty soon, right? But it's all right. I'm sure they'll sell at some point. I'm not that concerned. And then number 2 feels that I want to talk about is so again, this gig with Lane Norton, pretty stoked. And so in my head, I always go big. So I was thinking, I'm like, let's do 100 watches. Now these watches are probably going to range. This may change as I finalize things, but anywhere from probably the $70 to $175 department, depending on which one it is. And honestly, not making that much money on them, and we're giving 20% to the BioLane Foundation of the retail, not of the profit. So even less so, but just something I really believe in. I love supporting more research. Obviously, I'm all about that with my podcast and stuff. But then additionally, I need to shave. Additionally, it's obviously a great opportunity for me to be associated with something like that, and brand awareness and all that, and all the publicity, whatever you want to call it, from that. So definitely a great opportunity. So I proposed 100, so I put that out there to Lane. I was like, yo, here's what I think. 100, we'll break them down. This many of this model, this many of that model. What do you think? Am I being too conservative, too overambitious? And he was like, dude, he goes, maybe I would go at 60. He's like, you better to sell out and be conservative than risk getting stuck with something. So here I am, relatively strapped financially, as always. And I think sometimes I get myself into these things, and they do strap me financially because I go big. When I could go 60, instead I tie up the money, or in this case, part money, part credit card, of of a higher amount, and I guess that's also something else to factor in. If you're doing a credit card, you got potentially, depending on how soon you sell them, some interest accumulating as well. So, sorry, I don't know why. For some reason, laying in bed is just, don't think that I lay in bed all day. Fuck no. But for some reason, it's the easiest way to record sometimes. Because otherwise, I wander and you end up in all kinds of different lightings and bullshit like that. Even though that maybe that's more interesting. So anyways, right? So it's like decisions. And then I was like, well, how about I go 80, right? Go somewhere in between. Don't be too conservative. Don't be too risky. But it's like, I don't know. You stop and think, you're like, dude, if we can't online, and I guess Lane and I haven't really talked exactly about what the expectations are for him to plug this, again, because he's not profiting, he's just, his organization's getting it. But I would like to think, if anything, that would make him even more compelled to put it out there, because again, it's raising hopefully substantially, $1,500, $2,000 for his organization that wouldn't normally probably be raised. So I would like to think that if I was like, hey man, we need to sell some more, that he'd put in the effort to get them out there. So I'm like, between that, I can always take them to events. I can always give them to him to take to his events, like when he travels and stuff. Like, I would like to think between all of us that we could sell 100. I mean, fuck. I would like to think, gosh, that really blows if we can't. And I guess worst case scenario, let's be honest, obviously the main thing for me is to plug my bands, right? Because they go on my watch bands. That's the big thing I'm trying to plug, these powerlifting belt style watch bands, raising awareness for that. But I mean, worst case scenario, I guess I get them with the standard bands too, or at least have that as the option. And so for people that maybe for whatever reason don't want our wristband and just want the watch, that gives them another way to buy it. Of course, then I got to readjust pricing and figure out how I can do that to make sense. Probably will profit even less on something like that than I already am, but whatever. So just two current fields I wanted to take down. Two quote unquote stellar opportunities to partner with great people. I believe in what they're doing. They have great followings, loyalty, all that good stuff. But just showing that it's not always, I think, and maybe someone watching this is like, well, dude, I can see how you're mismanaging it, and you could have done it this and you could have done that. If I had that opportunity, I would do blah 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 blah. So maybe there's something I'm not thinking of that makes it why I'm not able to, I guess, get these things going perfectly. But that's what crosses my mind, and so based on the available information I have, based on my little bit risk-takey side and willingness to go big, those are the actions I've taken. And again, just showing that it's not always as straightforward as like, hey, you just partner with Lane or Bryce and immediately you sell a ton of stuff and everything goes happily ever after. So that's all. But still an awesome opportunity. I ain't scared, and not really sweating stuff. And it's actually interesting. Again, in some ways I think this can be a bad thing because it can make you naive. But I think the more you do things like this, the more you throw money or credit on the line. I don't want to say throw, but put it on the line, and just try and go bigger and bigger. The more your tolerance for risk and uncertainty, whatever, goes up, to where even people that, Lane's got freaking assloads more money than I do. People like that would probably almost be scared of the risk. And I don't. Maybe they're smarter than me, right? Maybe I'm the idiot, So I'm not denying that could be the case. But at the same point, I think sometimes when you have something to lose, you're more conservative. Whereas in my case, I ain't got shit to lose, so let's fucking go big. So that's all. And right now I'm off to finalize some things relating to launching our fractional weight plates. And what else? Oh, I'm going to pick up my buddy Dan to work on the shed. The other thing that's real interesting quickly with those fractional weight plates, same thing. I don't know. Sometimes I stop myself and I'm like, dude, here you go, launching another product. Are you taking focus away from what you're really trying to do? Is that a good idea? Is now the right time, etc.? But there's just so many little things with the project with Lane and stuff where I don't mean to say there's not stuff I can be working on, but a little bit of delay here. And that weight plates thing is basically all outsourced. I don't have to do very much for that. Someone else is doing most of that for me. So I'm like, fuck, I already know what I want to do. I want the product for myself. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Why? And I feel I do so many of these small launches, not this big, massive build up and oh my gosh, whatever. But I think sometimes that's what gets people in trouble. You do these huge launches, you put all this money in, buy these enormous quantities. Here I am talking about, did I buy too much for Bryson Lane? Anyways, I digress a little. But, all this marketing, all this whatever, and sometimes I think it's like ultimately you don't really know, so it's like just fucking put it out there and see what happens. And if I already know how I'm going to make it, I've already made prototypes, it's not that hard for me, etc. Why wouldn't I put it out there and see what happens? So that's what I'm going to do. Time to go work on that stuff. Shake any subtle tiredness out. Let's do this.